Welcome again to another one of my musings, as I like to call them, on photography. Um, a random, my own personal thoughts, random subjects. Um, Bit of a miserable day outside today, so good chance to grab a cup of tea and ponder. So, photography as a popularity contest. I was actually lucky enough last night to be down watching, well, actually, two things. The International Space Station flew overhead, just fantastic to watch. And also, we had a brief aurora show going on the north coast here in Northern Ireland. So I took myself down with my other half, and we went down and watched it. And it was a beautiful show, and I got a couple of nice images. I just love watching that. um, as word got out that as word got out that the aurora was going on, more and more people were obviously turning up to actually see it and obviously photograph it, and you could hear the chatter starting to rise. And of course, afterwards, I was speaking to a few people. We're about to get joined by a cat, by the way. I told you these were live and unscripted. This is Guinness. She normally sleeps all day. Anyway, what are you doing, cat? I'm live, kind of. So, and now she wondered what that noise was. Focus. Anyway, where were we? So we basically got chatting about the aurora, and so everyone was kind of very quickly wanting to tweet out the aurora, and that was fine. I tweeted out that I was watching the aurora, and I tweeted out a couple of pictures as well. Um, but there also seemed to be a bit of a vibe going on that people were kind of trying to outdo each other in the hope that their image was going to be picked up by one of the newsline people or weather people or one of the nationals, and this is probably where this subject maybe doesn't sit well with people, because I think it is of course important that you're getting yourself known as a photographer, and of course sometimes you need to hustle. Um, but I also need to think that we also need to consider why we're taking the images. Are we taking them simply to be popular? Are we taking them simply to be noticed and to get retweets and likes and Facebook likes? Or is it something personal to ourselves? And as I say, I'm having to, continue, not continually, but I'm having to sort of have this conversation with myself as well. Why am I making images? And photography for me is a very personal and a very passionate thing. Very similar to competitions. Um, there's a couple of weekly competitions that go on, and of course there's a number of competitions, yearly competitions, landscape photographer of the year. And it's interesting to watch my Twitter timeline as these competitions are announced and the shortlist people are announced. There seems to be much, you know, shouting and roaring and just general upsetness, that people haven't been placed in a particular competition, and it's almost then they're very bitter about others who maybe have been placed. Um, I know there were a couple of images in this year's landscape photography of the year that were, there was a lot of negativity towards them. Um, and I think it's just a case of saying, well, are you simply out there with the camera as a competition? Are you simply out there with a camera to gain those popularity votes? Am I simply out there with the camera to gain those popularity votes? And the answer has to be no. You're out there with the camera, hopefully, because you love photography, because you love being out in the environment. And if a byproduct of that happens to be that you get noticed by a competition, you get picked up by a news article, then great if that's the avenue that you want to go down. Really, Guinness? I'm trying to be serious here. Um, that's great if that's the avenue that you want to go down. But take a step back and just make sure that you're making the images that you want to make. You're with the camera in the area that you want to be in. You're not chasing something just because it's the flavor of the day. You're doing something because it's what you want to do. So I think if we all took that stance, myself included, we would have a much better connection with our photography. Forget about the competition side of things. Make images that you are deeply passionate about. Make images that you connect with. Because I think if you're not connecting with the image, if you're not passionate about the image, if you're rushing to get it out on social media or on the interwebs just to gain those popularity votes, the chances are the image is probably not going to be that strong. And I'm looking at myself here, more than anything. But let's stop using photography as a popularity contest. Let's reconnect with our images. Because I really do think that that's going to be when some of our strongest work will shine through. So I think that's all for now. I think someone wants fed. This is Guinness. She may appear in these videos from time to time. I doubt whether she'll appear in too many of the from the field because she spends most of her time under the bed or on the bed sleeping. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this little musing. I'm Nigel Cook. Please go ahead and subscribe. I try to publish at least one video per week, either from the field, some maybe gear reviews, or indeed, as this one, just some random thoughts on my own personal journey with this beautiful thing called photography. Well, for now, from both myself and Guinness, you guys have a great day. Bye-bye. You want something to eat? Yeah, she does.